Jan Ravinaka Fiji, and welcome to another episode of The Brunch. It's good to be back with you. I'm Stanley Simpson.
Jan Ravinaka Fiji, I'm Jacquee Speight. Thank you for joining us this beautiful Tuesday morning, the 21st of July. We hope you're having a great day so far.
Yes,
lovely morning so far.
Morning. Coming up later on the show this morning, we'll have a chat in studio with the Executive Director of the Fiji Council of Social Services, Vani Catanasiga.
And an update on the Fijian Drua Women's team ahead of their Super W final this Saturday.
Wow, amazing.
I am excited for that, very excited. And we'll also cross live to Glasgow, Scotland, where FBC's Taina Basiyalo has an update ahead of the Commonwealth Games.
But before we get into that, former Deputy Prime Minister Manoa Kamikamica is expected to take his plea today after the Magistrates Court granted FCOSS application to amend charges.
Kamikamica faces one count of perjury under Section 1761 of the Crimes Act 2009, with an alternative charge of providing false information to a public servant under Section 201A of the same Act.
Kamikamica is likely to plead not guilty to the charges. The trial is expected to begin at 10:30, about half an hour from now. So we're crossing now to MyTV's Ilaitia Ravuwai, who, as you can imagine, is on a tight schedule this morning at the Suva Magistrates Court. Let's cross over live to him first. Lai, good morning. Yesterday was an interesting day of the amendment of the charges from I think it was from involvement to knowledge. Just explain more what FCOSS change was.
Well, the charges remain the same. It's in the changes, the amendments are in the particulars of offense. Now, the new one, if you read it, it is alleged between 1st December 2024 and 31st March 2025 in Suva, lawfully sworn as a witness in the judicial proceedings. This is the Commission of Inquiry on the appointment of then Barbara Malimali as FCOSS Commissioner. This is where the changes is. Kamikamica willfully made a material statement on that he had no knowledge. Prior, the change was that he had knowledge. But yesterday, the FCOSS had come and amended the particulars of offense to say that Mr. Kamikamica had no knowledge of this. So that was the amendment that was granted in court yesterday, Stanley. And, well, the trial was supposed to begin proper yesterday. But because of this change, the leave that was granted, the trial begins this morning. Stanley.
So, I mean, knowing involvement and without having any knowledge, maybe significant in terms of legal terms. I don't know what the implication will be that when he said that to that statement, whether he was aware of what took place. Right. And he said he didn't, in astonishment that he didn't know it. But I understand his defense, the judge, the magistrate granted it, but it was strongly opposed by Wiley, his lawyer, Lai.
That's right. Stanley, yesterday, the defense counsel, or Wiley Clark, had said this was outrageous because both the state and the defense, agreed to the bundle of documents just on Friday. But the thing here was that the decision was made early yesterday morning. Joseanne Pane, who is the state counsel in this matter, said that the decision was made prior to her coming to court yesterday. So she basically said that this decision was made yesterday morning, but the agreed bundles of facts was agreed to by both the state and defense on Friday. But the thing is, the magistrate took about 45 minutes out to make his ruling, which he granted, but he asked the defense whether this would affect the case, and perusing the amended charges, he said this wouldn't affect. Wiley Clark had said this wouldn't affect the defense, so that's why they're carrying on today. But the magistrate was disappointed at FCOSS because it had all the time to do this, and it decided to do it on trial, on the trial week.
on the date of the trial.
Yeah.
I haven't heard or seen anything like this, Jackie. Have you? This is quite a strange experience because if Wiley is correct, they met on Friday. They went over everything, as they do,
Yes.
to ensure that there's no one gets a surprise issue, surprise evidence.
Yeah.
Everyone is aware of what's going to be presented, and then to turn up on Monday morning and says, we'll amend the charge.
Yes.
And I understand, like, they asked for a week or two, but we're only granted 24 hours. Is that correct? Lie. It seems to have frozen up. But so
Our wonderful network has caught up
yeah.
with us. Lai, are you back on?
I'm on.
Oh.
Okay, good. So I think they asked for 2 weeks to to come back, but the magistrate granted them only 24 hours. Is that correct?
Only 24 hours. And that's why we are here this morning, Stan. The trial begins this morning. And the prosecution witness this morning who has just arrived is the counsel assisting the former FICAC Commissioner of Inquiry. I think that's Janet Mason,
Very interesting.
the New Zealand lawyer. So she's taking the stand this morning.
That's going to be interesting. I look forward to your reports, Lai, on the
Yes.
on the exchange, on the
That's right,
cross-examination
yes.
from Wiley and Janet, because a year ago,
Yeah.
it was on the other foot.
It was.
Janet was
Yes.
cross-examining Wiley
Yep.
about his involvement
That's
in
right.
that whole FICAC appointment. And now it's Wiley's turn to cross-examine.
We're watching a grand game of chess
It's
going on
all
right
happening
now.
right now. And we are also following a story, Lai, as you know, we're just getting a few confirmations about how much was spent
Yes.
on the allowances.
Right.
Not just the pay, the allowance that was given to, that was paid to the judge heading the Commission of Inquiry, Judge Ashton Lewis, and what was paid to Janet Mason, who's the counsel assisting Ashton Lewis. And Lai, some interesting figures there. I mean, we are confirming that letter, that it's, that whether that letter is genuine. Mason told us yesterday that it looks genuine.
Okay.
So she said she hasn't got a copy, it's probably back in New Zealand,
Right.
but she said it looks genuine. And if that's the case, Ashton Lewis was paid around 2,000 New Zealand dollars a day.
A day.
Yeah, that's around 3,000 Fijian for the subsistence allowance, which is his accommodation and his living allowance. So
A day.
if that's the case, if that was $3,000 a day, I think Lai and I, and I think maybe Lai was also with us, we were calculating it. That's around $90,000 a month.
Taxpayers' money.
Taxpayers' money. Because subsistence allowance, so it's
Yeah.
a daily.
Yeah, daily.
That's not counting his professional legal fees. Now, Mason was being paid $350 New Zealand an hour. Lai, that's correct, eh? Are you still there with us?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Because we got that's based
That's
on
the
the documents
confirmation that was
circulating
given by
online,
Janet.
which we I must put a caveat here that we're still verifying.
Yeah.
But Janet Mason essentially did not dispute it. Said it looked genuine. So we're sending questions to Ashton Lewis and to the president's office just to ensure that we are. So she was getting $350, which is 500 Fijian an hour. You know, if you're doing around 6 hours a day, that's $3,000 a day, $15,000 a week.
Can you imagine if you were earning that money?
I'd love to. So
In this economy?
They were there for 5 months and it kept dragging on
Yeah.
and on. That
And all the
Commission of
taxpayer,
Inquiry.
all funded
I
by
mean,
taxpayers.
people wanted to know what the truth was.
Yes.
But
That's
I
right.
think my personal view, it went on for quite some time. And so, Lai, what's the charges will go on. How long do you think the trial will go on for?
Well, it was set for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but now because the trial starts today, I'm assuming it'll wrap up its case by Thursday.
So this week, but it'll take a while maybe for the magistrate to come
Yeah.
back with his
Yes.
ruling. Eh?
But it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of this
We'll
in the
look-
next few days.
Yes, we look forward to seeing your reports, Lai, and get us all the action. And I hope who's photographers and videographers that's also there will
Oh,
get
yeah.
us so that we can see some of the action ourselves.
Yes.
All the best for today, Lai.
Thank you, Jacquee. Thank you, Stan.
Well,
Yes.
very exciting
Yeah.
about that. And if you're wanting to follow on the updates from court, remember you can check out the MyTV website as long as our Facebook page.
Yes.
All the updates are going to be there from our news team.
Yep. Right. And moving on, Jacquee, I came back from Taiwan. I visited Taiwan last week.
Yes, you did, Stan.
And I did a post about the food at
Yes.
Fiji Airways. And I didn't expect it to go viral, but it did. And it seems that a lot of people are facing the same experience.
Yeah. Me included.
We had actually, the week before, before I went to Taiwan, for this conference on democratic resilience.
So then you took the flight from here to Australia
to
on
Singapore,
Fiji Airways?
to Singapore.
Here to Singapore.
But I'm saying before we went,
Right.
we had been getting some feedback.
Oh,
People have been
yes.
sending us, can you ask Fiji Airways
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah.
So we had sent questions to Fiji Airways, what's up with his menu, to Honiara, it's just that curlies and the biscuit.
I was shocked about
So,
that.
yeah. So I went and, I didn't think much of it because when the flight, it was nighttime, but I did just get the panini
Yep.
and didn't think much of it.
Oh,
but
you guys got the panini too?
Yes.
Okay.
And then when I'm flying from the other airline, which is an airline I had flown for the first time, is EVA or EVA maybe.
Right.
I can't remember what really is.
How was the food?
The food was just amazing. And I was saying, man, this is a big difference. You
Yeah.
know, like, everything. There's about 4 or 5 pieces of things. You have your main meal, your vegetables, and some fruits, and dessert. You know, the juices.
Yes.
When I came back, same experience, beautiful food. When I came on the Fiji Airways, I mean, it just wasn't there. And then what really ticked me off was the pancakes that they gave in the morning. First time in my life, I didn't finish my food on in-flight food.
I'll be honest, I don't
even
touch the
sometimes when it's
breakfast
bad,
anymore.
I finish it because I'm someone that just loves my food.
Yes.
But then I took one bite and it just couldn't take a second one.
Well, Kimani and I travel frequently. So I began to notice it from year before. I was actually shocked when we went on 10-hour flight and they came out 20 minutes into the flight with a panini and a cookie, and I was waiting for the rest of it. I looked up at the lady and I said, "Sorry, what are the other options?" And she said, "No, ma'am, this is it." And I went, "Oh, okay." So, and then when we were about to land, I know about the pancakes, but that's been from the year before.
Well, that was the first time I tried it. I really, really didn't like it. And that question, is there any, was asked right throughout. I felt sorry for the flight attendants having to... look, Fiji Airways is a source of pride for us.
Absolutely. I love them. The staff,
We're
of them.
only talking about this because we love the airline so much,
Absolutely.
And I've traveled on it all my life.
Yeah, but the food is not giving,
The food is
especially
not
for
giving.
the price that we're spending on tickets.
I mean, they can even charge $10 more. I mean, those pancakes look like the ones, we can probably do better.
You know what I miss? I miss getting on the flight on a 10-hour flight and them having curry chicken or the pastas.
Let's work to our strengths.
Or really...
there's some things we do better than anyone
Yes,
else in the world. Some of this food.
Stick to it,
Stick to it, and not
please.
this. And I feel sorry for the flight attendants because they're friendliest. I had a great connection when we were just chatting because we had caught up for a mix.
they are
at one time.
wonderful.
Wonderful. And I said, hey, where's the egg? Because I don't like the pan. She said, sorry, sir, that's the only option. And that I heard her saying that
Yes.
throughout the thing because everyone was just surprised.
Yeah.
All the passengers was like, this is what we're getting?
Yes.
Maybe some people liked it, but it just turned me off. And when I came and I saw that response, in fact, I was wondering how come the response didn't come to MyTV because MyTV we had asked, but Fiji Village ran the story. When I saw it, it really brought back a bad memory.
Yeah. What did they say? It was on fuel.
Because of the fuel.
But this has been going on for some time now, before the fuel crisis has come.
Okay, I didn't know it had been going on for some time.
The panini has been going since year before last.
All right. Okay, I know there's tough times, but we gotta be more creative, Fiji Airways.
Yes.
We gotta do better. The plate was just bad. It was one meal, one I don't know whatever they call it, bowl of vegetables or something, one bread,
But you know what you
and
could
one
be?
chunk of butter.
All the seriousness aside about it, I noticed a trend with you, and I don't know if anyone else has picked up on this with you. you have some really chaotic travel stories.
Yeah.
Like when you guys went to drop off Matilda. The fact you even made it to Nandi. So, you
Even
know,
I
it
have
was
to
just
take
one
a-
thing
give a
after the next.
Deep breath just thinking of that.
And so this one, when you were talking about it, what an experience. Your entertainment system was not working.
Yeah.
You're holding the iPad, it
And
drops.
I didn't even talk about the lead up to that. I had to run from Terminal 3. But the good thing, like if you're talking, because the flight arrived from Taiwan 11:55.
Yeah.
My flight to Fiji was 1:55. So I had 1 hour
Oh my.
to get it.
And it's very small.
It,
Very
they-
small.
But you know the beautiful thing, like it was Singapore. You know,
Yes.
I didn't have to go through lineup in immigration. You
That's
just put
right.
your.
Yeah.
Then I ran, got my bag. Then I ran to the train. I ran.
Man, I would pay big money just to
When-
get that footage
And
of
but
you
I,
running.
Then I came to. But when I reached that, you know, to check in,
Yeah.
I told the lady I almost died, and she looked at me and said, "Stop!" And she said, "Stop." She told me, "Stop being dramatic."
I love it.
And then I thought, okay, that's the drama. But then I got on the plane, and then another drama. You know, no air condition for a while. The pilot said, you know, it did improve when we got into there, but I couldn't understand. I have a video. I don't want to play it.
You know what? God is testing
I've
you
tested
all the time.
Fiji Airways.
Every time he's
my friends at
testing you.
Fiji Airways. My apologies, but you know, I have to. I had to say it.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
people offending themselves like we were on the ferry to Sub. You know, like that was, it was that bad. And then I just like disappointed. I slept because
Yeah.
you know I can only run a certain thing without exhausting myself.
Yeah.
And then when I got in, I tried to play a movie and it didn't work. My God.
It's just one thing
And
after
then
the
they brought
next.
me iPad.
Yeah.
So I looked, you know, and then now I can't stick it anywhere. I have to hold it and then watch. And you know, it's just because then they brought the food and I'm trying to eat, and then you know I want to be fancy and watch the iPad and like it's like I'm sitting at home
Oh, no.
and it falls on my and it spills all over me.
There you have it.
And that was the
I look
story
forward-
of the.
I look forward to your
Story
next
of the week.
travel.
The
Yeah,
travel
your next
week.
travel story.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. We've been told we're going overtime with that story, my story from Singapore. So we'll be back. We'll be back after the break with
After
Vani.
the break, yes, with Vani.
Welcome back. You're watching The Brunch on My TV. I'm Stanley Simpson with Jacquee Speight. And joining us is the Executive Director of the Fiji Council of Social Services, Vani Catanasiga.
Yeah,
Well,
good
good morning.
We
Plen-
always love having you with us.
Thank you.
Always.
There's plenty of stories going around, but big story. Have you heard about my Fiji Airways story?
Yes, I read it. I think it's pathetic that we are getting some those kinds of meals on
Yeah.
our national airlines. Yeah, they should do better, man. Serve better meals.
Yes. It's. I think we actually should try and get Fiji Airways.
We
on board.
must.
Not to just explain. They must have a reason,
They
but
must,
you know,
yeah.
it's just getting the wrong reaction right now, and I think it's putting a real dent on the reputation that they have. But more serious issues. Jamie was telling us, oh, that's only affecting a small number of people.
He was saying it's only a small number of people.
I said no, it's
But
very
that's an
important.
image.
yeah.
That's an
Yes.
image
Because,
of
I mean, you
Fiji,
pay quite a
you know?
bit, right,
Yeah.
to get on.
Well, with my daughter and I, because we travel, it's almost right now. It's sitting at somewhere close to 7,000 Fijian return flights
I'm sure they
because
can
we do
sell.
long haul.
Yeah.
So imagine spending that kind of money to get on 20 minutes into a flight and receive a panini.
Not
Make it make sense.
All right, Vani, you've been involved recently on some strategic planning for the Ministry of Rural Development. Is
Yes,
it called?
yes. I was there last week.
Yeah.
So they had their strategic planning last week in the West, and it was quite, you know, it was a good feeling to be in the room and to watch them, you know, talk about what they're going to do in the next few years.
We're talking about who here?
Ministry of Rural Development.
Yeah.
So this is your, you know, your DOs, your provincial administrators. They're the guys that look after rural and maritime development. And so if you think about the disaster management, that also comes under that portfolio. So I had the opportunity to sit in and, you know, sit on a panel, talk about rural development. You know, there's been some recent reforms in government. You know, we've been watching, right now they're closing up on the constitutional review. But there's been other reforms that are quite important to people in rural and maritime areas. The Integrated Rural Development Framework is one that was led by Mr. Moses Sikibo and Dr. Api Mobono. And it is now dovetailing into the civil service sector reform that is led by the Public Service Commission. So to see these things happen, you know, I'm here often complaining about the things that are not working. So I want to talk about some exciting things that seem to be working and, you know, will deliver tangible results for people in rural and maritime areas. So yeah, sitting in there, one of the things I had the opportunity to see was a reporting dashboard that they were trying to pilot within. You know, we were talking as FCOSS, we were raising the red flag on implementation, the capacity of the civil service to deliver, because sometimes budgets are allocated and they are not utilized. And so you can see them trying to do tracking for their project implementation. And, you know, that's really great to see that that's happening within a ministry.
I like it. That's great because we held the FMA, Fijian Media Association, we held our town hall in Levuka and in Corvo. And one of the things that come out to me sitting there is that these DOs, my suspicion was they're not being heard. They haven't been heard in the past. Because a lot of the issues come up, it's already gone through their office. But it's somewhere in Suva here or in that pipeline, there's a clog or the things are not happening and it just sits there. And I think that needs to improve. So what can you tell me more about this dashboard of reporting? How does that work? Because you know a lot of the basic issues, the ambulance, the access to market, you know the health services. These are from when we sit with them, we realize this has been raised. But implementation takes a while from the ministry to the ground because these are people on the ground, right?
Yes. You know, and they, just as you identified, they're almost like a clearinghouse. So a lot of the complaints come to them and then they go to different ministries. So they vet that, they forward it to the various ministries. But one of the things that you can see is that in the various ministries, because of that centralized decision making, a lot of civil servants are now, you know, being reminded, you have the power to act on this. I think there's some reluctance there has been some reluctance. Historically, they are reluctant to act on a particular issue because they could get into trouble and all of that. But with the IRDF, the Integrated Rural Development Framework Review, I think it's beginning to surface some of those issues. It comes to the DOs. Sometimes the DOs have heard it 1,000 times before, and they forwarded it to the right officers. But because decision-making or the decision to allocate resources to act on this was centralized before, it was difficult to get some of these issues resolved. But what the IRDF review is saying is, you know, that's no longer the case now. You can do what you can with the resources. So now they've got that dashboard. They know what allocations they've been given, what should be comments in a particular quarter, and then they can actually track who's doing what. So, I mean, when I was looking at that, I said, man, you know, this is so great to see. Sometimes you're advocating, you don't know, you know, whether it's being progressed or not. But coming in and seeing how they were discussing how reporting would be done. They were being taught how to use the dashboard by, I think it was their IT officer. I was thinking, okay, it's really starting to, you know,
there's progress. My issue one is we've had, 50 years of independence, you know, for all these governments. And why haven't we been able to get things like this right? I mean, these are some of basic things. When I look at many of the issues, in like Corvo, when we went to Tavua, when we went to Ba, and went to Levuka, a lot of things are basic management issues. So I'm wondering, is capacity there or not enough resources? You know, is this also another aspect of it?
Well, I think it's also to do with disruptions in governance. You know, the coups have had a major impact. I mean, doing some of the work that we do as FCOSS, you can see that everything is on paper, the way things are supposed to be done. SOPs galore, you can see that. But because of the disruptions in governance, because it takes time to learn a system.
Essentially the coups.
Yes, the
coups have consequences.
Yes, even at that level. You know, we all know that because you know, like when we go, I'm sure the town halls that you went to, you know, you heard about.
That's a very good
it's
point.
there, you know.
Yeah.
But you can see that human behavior is, you know, is something that we need to understand. When there is disruptions in governance, you know, unlearning some of the fear that we develop when those systems are disrupted and, you know, there are new systems. We really have to, you know, we really have to, this is why we have to continue to advocate for coup-free Fiji.
Yeah. And you can see that the disconnect has happened from with the coups. That so what's some of the, apart from the reporting dashboard, I think one of the key issues as well, and I think it's been, whatever people may say about this government, the beautiful thing now is about the freedom to express yourself.
Yes.
And I think one of it to manifest a few weeks back, I think still getting flack about it, but from the permanent secretary for finance,
Yes.
who spoke about the sugar
spoke at
industry.
Dialogue
Now
Fiji about
I
the
can't
sugar
imagine
industry.
any PS speaking like that
That's right.
this 2006 to
It
2022.
was so refreshing. He was very, very honest.
Yes.
Very honest.
And I hope that that's coming through now.
Yes.
Because at many times before we'll see people just take the blame because they hesitate
Yes.
Yes.
to speak out and say something that may land them in further hot
Right.
water.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean that is a beautiful thing that we'll be able to express ourselves. Obviously within,
Yes.
you know, within the process and things,
the four
but
corners of the law.
the law
Yes.
and the civil service regulations, but being able to express yourself. I think that's a really wonderful thing because we need to hear
Yes.
from people on the ground speaking honestly.
Yes. Yes. I think that's important. You know, you're right. Government came in and straight away addressed the issue of media freedom. And that, I think that was 50% of the good stuff that they did, was because they needed, if they were going to receive honest feedback, they needed to do that. And I think they have copped a lot of flack, and there was a lot of expectations on their shoulders. I think the only thing that they didn't do quite well in that is that they didn't manage those expectations well. But I think overall, like when we look at the various reforms that have taken place, from the security sector reform to now the constitution to rural development, you know, there was some finance, public finance management reforms that were taking place too. There's a lot of things that's happening.
So some good things are happening.
Yeah.
It's not all negative. I agree with you. I think they set expectations too high when they came in.
Yes.
The comms should have been, some changes cannot be made overnight.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
And you know, well, people have been waiting long, so
They have
the
been,
government's going to have to take the flak for it,
Yeah.
take it on the chin,
Yeah.
and just get on with the job, I guess.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you know, explain yourselves. You know, are we getting a bit of flack for asking the questions sometimes? No, that's not our job to not ask the questions. It's our job to ask. It's the government's job to explain
Yes.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Not for us to just say, "Oh, we understand why it's not happening."
Yes.
No, you need to be questioned and put on the
That's
spot.
right.
And then, but I'm glad.
Yes.
This is Bulitavu's ministry, is it?
Yes, but that reform started during the talkers' tenure at
Okay.
the ministry. So it's been great to see how, you know, even those who were in charge of the review, Moses Sikivo and Dr. Api Mobono, were looking at how it was maybe it was running in parallel with the Itoke administration review. So they were looking at how, you know, what are the messages that are coming out of both reforms? How can we work together? And the idea too is to ensure that there is coherence. These are two ministries, the Itoke Affairs and the Rural Development, that are in touch with communities, multi-ethnic too. They are the ones who have to deal directly with communities. And it was important to ensure that they were working together, so that, you know, you're not running off this way and these other ministries running off this way. I think there's an attempt to bring that together.
Right, it's wonderful. Moses Sikivo is for.
Moses Sikivo used to be the permanent secretary for, I think it was rural development back then.
Okay.
I think he's worked in a few intergovernmental, SPC, the UN.
Okay.
Yeah, very
So good,
dynamic
so up,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe
But
someday you should invite him here.
Penny Sikivo. Penny Sikivo is the other, the PS for
I
the.
think so, yes.
Yeah, but great insights, Vani. This is
Yeah.
what we have you here for, because you're on there, you're involved.
You're involved in all
You
these spaces.
talk to them, and then you
Yes.
criticize them, and then you work with
Yeah.
them. So that's a
And I go
wonderful.
to their workshops.
Then you go to their
That's
workshops.
right.
Thank you, government, for inviting me at FCOSS.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
This is a wonderful
It
thing, and
is.
we need to encourage more of it.
Yes.
Because I know government sometimes feel like we giving them a hard time, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
Part of the improvements that we need to
Yes.
take. Yeah?
Well, we're going to continue this discussion after this short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching The Brunch right here on MyTV. And we have with us in studio the Executive Director of Fiji Council of Social Services, Vani Catanasiga.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a wonderful time with you.
Yeah. Before we continue the discussions with Vani, we will just. There was a video I saw this morning. I asked Jamie and them to bring it up because
Yeah.
it was disturbing to me. It disturbed me because the comments that was made to one of the students. And I just saw it around like 9 a.m. this morning. Some people were sending it to me, and I sent it quickly to Jamie. Jamie, play it because I want to discuss this.
Okay.
It didn't seem right, and I wondered how the Ministry of Education or the school allowed this to happen. Maybe we'll just watch it so people can hear it and see it for ourselves, and we can discuss it.
If you ask any other religion in this world how to get to heaven, they all say the same thing. They say, I don't know. Go ahead, try this today. If you have a Muslim friend, if you have a Buddhist friend, whatever kind of friend you have, you a Muslim? Huh? Are you sure you're going to heaven? He ain't sure. Why you think he's not sure? Because who he trusting in? He's trusting in himself. Of course he's not going to be sure. Is he good? No one is good. So of course he's not going to be sure. But can we be sure we're going to heaven? Why? Because who's good? Jesus is good. So that's a good example right there. Every religion in this world, they don't know. They all think they have to go to heaven by being good. And none of them are good. That's why they don't know. But we know for sure that we're going to heaven. We can sleep good at night because we know he died for all of our...
He's talking about heaven. Who the hell invited him to talk to our children and students like that? That was disturbing behavior, singling out the boy from a different
The one
religion, the
boy,
Muslim
yes,
religion.
exactly.
That's just unacceptable.
My goodness. Is that a foreigner?
It sounds like.
It
yeah.
sounds, yes.
Oh, goodness. I think this issue around child safeguarding is not something that we really appreciate in Fiji. Child safeguarding,
Yeah.
bullying and all of that stuff.
To be
you know?
exposing him to that in a very, how do they vet this person to come in and speak?
Seriously, the Ministry of Education really needs to be scrutinizing what happens at the school level. Because this is a video that, at least is public, but I've heard of other issues happening at the school level, and it's issues around child safeguarding. And I don't think government fully understands, appreciates what child safeguarding encompasses. It means protecting our children from these kinds of things. You really vet the people who come into the school to interact with them. I mean, there's some form of registration that requires you to be
That's right.
registered,
Yes.
and that's sort of the due diligence process. But I don't think that's enough, because there are people like this that are going into school compounds and
He's essentially someone who's coming from overseas.
Yes.
And I just cannot understand, knowing the systems which should be in place, how he was allowed to get through, what the vetting process
these
was.
kind of conversations
and
with the
you can see
children.
that there were groups around the place. So who else and what else was being said? That is just disturbing. I really felt it didn't sit
That
right
just
with
made
me.
me feel very uncomfortable.
yes,
Just
and
how
very
he-
unchristian too.
Yes.
This is
If
not
that's-
the country that we want. This is
No.
not the kind of discussions or dialogue we need to be having, or
Yeah.
the singling out. This is something that was of the past, really.
Especially on young children who are so impressionable.
Yes.
And to just call them out and say,
Yeah.
do you know if you're going to heaven? Man, that's
Unacceptable.
yeah.
And unchristian.
Unchristian. So that's thanks to the team for managing to play that. Well, back on track now, Giovanni. On these various reviews. I heard you talked about the integrated review
Integrated Rural Development Framework. Yeah.
framework.
Which
Yeah,
was
and I was
some-
wondering if this is just another term. Another fancy term. How do we make these things work, you know?
Yeah.
Because I hear all these different jargons and
Yeah.
plans and reviews and
That's
things
right.
that come in.
Yeah.
And how do we make these things actually work?
That's right. I mean, I think that when you look at what happens in other countries, particularly in Asia, you look at how some of their approaches have worked. It's always about an integrated approach. Because one of the mistakes we've made is that we deliver one, we're not working together. So it's incoherent. Rural communities are receiving different types of advice from Ministry of Agriculture and a different advice from a different ministry. What the framework proposes to do is deliver a consolidated approach to uplifting rural and, maritime communities. We're not giving one off. It has to work together, because when you think about poverty, it's a system. So you have to deliver a response to poverty that's integrated, that addresses all of the dynamics of poverty that exist. If it's the lack of access, the lack of perhaps technical support, you have to deliver a response that addresses all of those components. Because if you address only one component, which is access, the other factors can exacerbate. So you've wasted your money helping just one aspect of it. So I think it's about delivery.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's another thing where we really need highly capable, committed, hardworking. I know many of them who are
Yes.
there, but we really need those type, because if you have the wrong person in the position in those areas, things collapse.
Yes.
You know,
That's critical to the leadership is very important. And I think one of the things they recognized when they were doing the reform or the review was that they needed to deliver alongside this a change management approach. And so I could see that running parallel with,
training,
yes.
exposure,
Yes.
the communication. Because, those positions, those DOs, and you have to have a variety of skills.
Yes.
Because you have to
You
cover,
really do.
and
You're almost like coordinating.
Yes.
yeah, you have to speak to various communities,
Yeah.
farming communities, which may have speak
Yes.
Indo-Fijian community,
Yes.
into the Itoke communities,
Yes.
and the business people.
Yes.
There's a whole range. Then agriculture. Then people trying to do taxis.
Yes.
Transport. So all the range of issues. And if you have the wrong person, that's all. Capacity building is important, and
Yes.
I don't know how we monitor performance
Yes.
of this.
That's right.
Of this.
And I think that's why
Of these
it's
people.
quite good that they have internal, monitoring systems, dashboards that monitor delivery of different projects. They have they have various projects, including the rural housing scheme. They even have the relocation unit there. They have, the bridges. I think it's called the SCAF program. So it's to do with roads and infrastructure. So these are small-scale projects that are supposed to help rural communities. So it'll require, like Stanley said, interpersonal social skills. You really need it to be there, because you're interacting with people of different ethnicities. Economic backgrounds are different as well. So if you don't know how to navigate in that sort of dynamic environment, you're going to lose all of the. In fact, they lose the opportunities to
It's
tap into
also
that.
on this topic. It's also a reminder, especially even more so, not just at grassroots level, but with the election coming up. When people go to vote, I hope they vote for people who actually have the qualities and who have the interpersonal skills, who are out there doing work, who have a proven track record. So that when we get these people into these positions,
There's
things start moving.
There's some experience.
they're not
there.
just there for the photo opportunity or to break the ground and hold a spade. They're actually doing work.
That's right. That's their warning to all of our citizens.
Yeah.
I did see that also in the Corvo town hall. We had people talking about government processes not working.
Yes.
The business one, Mother Lutung Launga talking about.
Oh, brilliant mother. I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
video of her.
That's right. And she said it so eloquently,
Yes.
so strongly
Yeah.
about in a breakdown, very simple way about the situation that they face, and how all these fancy policies made at the top
Yeah.
are not.
Complete disconnect.
Reaching people.
Disconnect
Yeah,
is the word.
disconnect,
I just said the word disconnect, and the people are making fun of some of the women. But some things like even to get the fire extinguisher, the whole thing, and getting it approved.
That's right.
Yes.
Like the whole works to get something to get their business running.
It just takes a very long time.
And we don't have the infrastructure that supports some of those places to do, to get some of the forms. You may have to come right to Suva because some of those small towns don't have it.
Imagine when you get to Suva and you've got your list, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to go to take a passport photo. You're on one side of town. Now I need to go and get this signed by someone else. You go to another side. I need to pick it up from here.
Right.
You're just going all over Suva
right.
when it could just all be in one building to make life easier for everyday Fijians.
Well, we hope this digital transformation will work. It's coming. I think that I have issues with the rollout because some things is forcing through without a lot of consultation. But I believe it's the way to go. It's just the way the process is taking place. And before we go to the break, Vani, this headline in the papers on the sugar.
Government approves sugar imports.
I know some people say it's a one, but a lot of people it's like essentially, it has to go with the tea or the day starts of bed. How are you seeing the situation?
Well,
because it says here Fiji could be forced to import more sugar from Thailand if the local industry continues to falter, warns Minister for Multi-Ethnic Affairs Charanjit Singh.
Yeah, maybe it's time for us to stop using sugar. I don't use sugar, but yesterday we had morning tea with Public Service Commissioner Mrs. Merisin Balilibuka.
Right.
And it was the last pot of, sugar that we had, like in a canister jar. And he said, okay, this is the only sugar left. We'll go without it. I think that, I'm not going to make excuses for the industry, but I think that Fijians, citizens in general, we really should be looking at the statistics on health and really cutting down on our sugar.
That is so true.
There are other alternatives, or go without sugar in your tea. But
I don't like that answer. We need sugar.
No, we don't. In our house, we're honey. We have honey with everything. See?
That's expensive. All right.
It's health.
Thank you, Vani.
Thank you, Vani.
Thank you for the tip on the honey, but good health advice also from you. But great discussion. We need to have more of these discussions about how we improve. And I'm glad you're included in these discussions.
So when we have you in next, you'll give us an update of what's the latest workshop you've attended.
Yeah, and where things are going.
You should get paid for that.
That's true. You can be their PR sometimes on this one. At least at this time, they can thank you for some positive news on their behalf. You're watching The Brunch Show on My TV. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. You're watching The Brunch on My TV I'm Stanley Simpson with Jacquee Speight. Jacquee, Commonwealth Games in 2 weeks, in 2 days' time. 2 days
away. Yeah.
So quite a contingent we have going there, and Errol Ganga, who's a host.
He's one of our hosts for our Spotlight show.
Yeah.
He's also representing Fiji, which is very exciting.
Yeah. He's also the flag bearer, or is it? They haven't announced that.
I'm not too sure, but we've got a fantastic athletics Fiji team that's representing us.
So we always look out for who's the flag bearer, but Errol's there, so all the best, Errol, and all the best to the team that's there. I'm interested to see how we'll be doing in the weightlifting, because I think we've got some good lifters
Very
there.
exciting too, yes.
But we're joined now by the Fiji Broadcasting Corporation, FBC's Taina Basiyalo, who is in Glasgow, Scotland to cover the Commonwealth Games. Mbulavinaka Taina, what's the time like there?
Mbulavinaka, Stanley and Jacquee. It is 3 minutes to midnight here in Glasgow, Scotland.
Goodness. This is commitment at its best. I love it.
Thank you to FBC for allowing you to come onto our show. So 2 days to go to the Commonwealth Games. What's the atmosphere like at the Games? And what have you and the team been up to since arriving?
Well, the atmosphere here is exhilarating, and we can see throughout Glasgow, the games posters plastered all around, and you can just tell that the people of Scotland are just as excited as the athletes from the 74 different nations and territories for the games. And since arriving on Saturday, I've just been bus riding around Glasgow to familiarize myself with the lay of the land here. I had gone to pick up my media accreditation today and also went to check out one of the 4 venues. So Glasgow is actually one of the only said city in history to host the games twice, and I believe the first time was in 2014. And the reason why they brought it back is mainly because of the game venues that they have. Otherwise, it would be held in Australia.
Man, so exciting,
Yeah,
Taina.
not everyone gets to cover the Commonwealth Games in their
that's
lifetime.
a wonderful,
You've,
wonderful gig that you're on
got
right
that,
now.
yeah.
So are you able to tell us about Team Fiji this year? For those who haven't been following, maybe let them know what sports we're competing in and how the team has come together ahead of the games.
Yeah, so Team Fiji is sending across about 58 people, and that includes athletes, coaches, and managers. And this year, out of the 10 sports in the Commonwealth Games, Fiji will be participating in 8. So we have athletics, weightlifting, boxing, swimming, lawn bowls, which is going to be the first event of this year's games. We have the 3x3 basketball, swimming, and judo. And Team Fiji actually has the biggest number of athletes compared to the other Pacific Island countries competing. And I understand that our Fiji team have been training hard back at home and are all excited for the games, and majority are taking part in the games for the very first time.
Wonderful.
That's great, really great and exciting, because Taina is award-winning sports journalist as well. So we're looking forward to her reports. So obviously, not easy making your way there. I mean, you've got I take it you must have got some support. And what does this opportunity mean for you personally? What are you hoping to take away from the experience?
Yeah. So my journey here has been made possible by the Australia Olympic Committee through the ABC International Development. So the WINS project manager, Sally Eels, reached out to me about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And we had very little time to get visas and everything sorted. Yeah, and she asked if I was free. And I was actually preparing to go to New Zealand, but I was like, you know what, nothing like being at the actual venue. It's always a different type of feeling to actually be there where all the action is happening. This opportunity is actually life-changing. I mean, to be selected, out of all the other amazing and talented journalists from across the Pacific. If I'm being honest, I feel really blessed to be given this opportunity because I'm not gonna lie, last year I've been looking at ways, ways to come down here, volunteer, or just, whatever, participate, however way. But I couldn't find that until like 3 to 4 weeks ago when Sally reached out. And one of the main things that I hope to take away from here is, is to learn as much as I can from all other media professionals from around the world that I will be working alongside for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, well deserved.
Yes,
well deserved. If there's
absolutely.
somebody who deserves it, it's you, Taina.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an amazing experience.
Yeah.
It's always
So
amazing also
happy
when you
for
watch
you.
the professionals, from around the world.
Exactly. And
doing
we're
their
looking
job.
forward to all your updates.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All the best to you,
thank you.
Taina.
All the best and
Thanks so
enjoy.
much for taking
Thank
the
you.
time to join us.
Yes.
And now the McDonald's Fijian Drua Women will be playing the New South Wales Waratahs in the Super W final this Saturday. And joining us live now to tell us more is our very own Lusi Banuve. Good morning, Lucy.
Hi, Jacquee. Hi, Stan.
So, no strangers to the Super W final, but first time at home. How good is that?
That's right. That's right, Stan. They're chasing their third title, but just because they're playing it here at home and at one of the newest stadiums in Fiji, the 4R Stadium out at Govin Park. Just seeing the players, speaking to the players, speaking to Coach Mike, and the management of this has just been such a good turnout in terms of crowd and just how the girls have done this season.
Lucy, you were at the games on Saturday. Very exciting. Are you able to describe the emotions on the sideline after the Drua qualified for the grand final?
Jacquee, we knew, because the score was 31-5. So, the girls knew they were winning, they were going to take the game. But I think the realization hit that they were finally, they were bringing a grand final home.
Yeah.
Really, there were just tears all around. Even Coach Mike coming down, just how close the girls have grown to him, and that they're just saying thank you to him right there on the sideline, and the crowd spilled over onto the ground. And I must say that I've seen the boys win. I've seen the Drua boys win here in Fiji, and we watched. Stan was there when they won in Australia, but last Saturday was different, and they're just all fired up and geared up for the finals this Saturday in Perth.
Thank you, Lucy. Great update.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
wonderful. Thanks so
Thanks,
much, Lou.
Lucy. Can you feel the emotion from Lucy?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think we're getting too emotionally attached. We're supposed to be neutral, and they actually in the newsroom yesterday came around and said do a video message to the Fijian Drua Women.
Why not?
And I'm telling them we are not supposed to be doing that, but I was forced to do it. And I just had to admit, we're not supposed to be biased. But when it comes to the Fijian Drua Women,
yes.
biased.
Is Lucy still on?
Yeah.
Lucy, you have this opportunity to tell the fans something, to show up on Saturday. What do you have to, what would you tell them?
Yes, you'll hear amazing stories from these girls. These girls, most of them, 80% of them hold permanent jobs. They've been given leave to come and play, and they give it their all. The season is only very short. The boys, they get so much attention, and these girls sort of just come in under the radar, do their stuff, and they're out here winning stuff and bringing a Super Rugby grand final right here home. So, check out the Drua page. They're selling tickets as low as $5, $10, $15 for the grandstand. Fiji, just come out and support these young girls.
You said it, Lou. Thanks so
Said it
much
really
for that,
well.
Lucy.
Great stuff.
And there you have it,
Yeah.
Fiji. It's this.
Neutral, emotionally detached.
Oh boy, here we go. You just make sure you go down this weekend and support them.
I'm really thinking
You
of going
do it
down.
for the boys.
Yeah. We'll have to
I
do
hope
it.
to see your updates as well on Facebook for the women.
They totally deserve it. They work
Absolutely.
so hard, and Coach Mike himself, it's a great personal story there as well with him.
Looking forward
Great
to hearing
stuff.
more
Yeah.
of his story and all their stories. Now to our weekly poll question. What are we asking Fiji
We're
this
asking
time?
if you could persuade the next government to completely fix just one major infrastructure issue during their term, which would you choose? This sounds like a question from Jamie.
And let us know what you think by answering the poll question that is pinned at the top of the MyTV Facebook page. We'd really like to know.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I have my own views on that. But time has caught up with us. We hope you've enjoyed the show.
We do hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining us this morning. And for the brunch, I'm Jacquee Speight.
And I'm Stanley Simpson. Have a great week.
Take care.